the only one that can fix this is you, and the whole world has an issue with it. And it's so sad because we really want to trust, we really want to experience that whatever shows in your face and what comes out of your mind speaks the same language. And you might wonder what I'm talking about, but I am talking about being authentic. And there is a solution. I'll come back to that. But first of all, what is actually authenticity? Because it's everywhere. We talk about it, people express it, there are podcasts about it. It's up everywhere you listen or wherever you see on social media and around you. And I think we need to dive into what it actually is, because it's something that is real, you know that. But how can you show up real? And that is the big question. Here comes the challenge, because before that, you have to figure out who you are. What is mine from your childhood? What was the taught version of me? Who do I want to be? There are a lot of things that we have to figure out before we can talk about being authentic. We try to, and that's amazing, that's exemplary, but it's a big difference of trying, which and succeeding in something or making it work, because we have to reprogram our brain in many ways. And we should all reprogram, because, and I know you know what I'm talking about, because if you think of your childhood, and again, I'm not here to blame anybody, there's nobody's fault. This is evolution. This is what your grandparents, parents, all the way back your timeline has been struggling with. But then we got something in society on top of it that created an acceptance for fear or not of critical thinking. And by critical thinking, I mean that when you were young, we should all be able to criticize and say, no, I don't believe that. I believe something else, and have acceptance for it. But it wasn't much time maybe, or you had strict parents, or whatever reason, doesn't really matter. The critical thinking or the critical mindset was kind of dumped in the dustbin. So then we were taught to listen to instead, to accept. And the second we accept and we listen to our surroundings instead of ourselves, we lose our authentic part, which is super important. And if you want to be crazy, if you want to dance naked outside, or if you want to speak your mind, whatever, if you want to be angry, if you want to be, whatever you want to be, there is this little person in your head that says, no, you're not allowed to that. That's not the proper way to be. That's not who you were taught to behave, or, And that little person continues to follow you around wherever you go, and has been there since you accepted that you had to listen to it, and that you had to listen to your surroundings because they knew what was right for you. But nobody knows what's right for you. How can they? They never walked in your shoes. Even if you were little, even you're supposed to learn some sort of behavior or have a manual to go by, they didn't give the right information that you needed. Right or wrongful, it doesn't matter. But now you have the chance to question that. And that's why I'm bringing it up, because you cannot be authentic. You can be authentic in having somebody's information, others' information. That you can be authentic in. But what it does, it tires you out and it exhausts you because it's somebody else's information, and you don't get new food to keep on evolving that information, so you go on old fuel. You understand what I mean? And old fuel has never worked for any cars. Old oil has never worked on any engines. So it's only when you go back to your authentic self that you were born to be that you can reproduce and reproduce and recreate and everything, because then you always have the right fuel. You get me? Good. So let's go back to the past. All the information, everything that you were taught is by somebody else's information. And we never questioned that. Usually we didn't question it. So we kept going on that information, using it, voicing it, letting it be a part of our identity, letting it blossom into something that necessarily wasn't you or me. So that's why we need to recheck. We need to detox that chip that was given to our computer, us, and we need to deprogram it. Go back, figure out what you want to keep. There's nothing wrong with that information, but you have to check if there's something that you want to keep. And the things that you don't want to keep, you get rid of. And then you create your new identity based on who you want to be, based on your emotions, your thoughts, your values, everything. But first of all, you have to choose to do that. You have to choose to check in and figure out who you are. You have to choose if your belief system is who you are. You have to choose to check in and see if your thoughts are who you are. Your mindset, is it yours? Because if you don't do that, you can't be truly authentic. Because there's part of you inside that will be the person that you were born to be. Still, because it's energy, it's frequency. It's there. It's your chip, your original chip. And then you have this voiceover that says something else, the taught version of you. And those two combined just doesn't match at a certain level. Something will show in your face and something else will come out of your mouth. And those two doesn't speak the same language, and it becomes confusing, and people don't truly trust you. Not that you're lying or not telling the truth, but they don't really trust what's happening here because there's something that is off. They can't explain it, but there's something there that is off. And remember, this is not only about you, this is about most of the world. So you can imagine when everybody's walking around like this, a lot of things becomes strange, untrustworthy, and fearful. Because if you don't trust anybody, if you don't feel safe 100%, then it's a little bit wobbly. It's like, whoo, really? And we feel inside that there's something wrong. We just can't pinpoint it or name it or find a place for it. It's just off. And a lot of people drink alcohol to mellow down that feeling inside. Or they overeat, or they overexercise, or they don't dare to feel inside, or whatever reason. Nothing wrong with any of these things. Just saying that if you choose to figure it out, you will get a peaceful life where you truly live in tune with who you are. Good or bad, doesn't matter, but it's you all the way to the core essence of your being. And that's the essence. No matter what it is that you say or do, you're standing for it because it's you. But when you have this wobbly feeling that partially you, partially somebody else's information, it's super easy to go into somebody else's information if they talk loud or very clear or has this powerful, presence, to listen to them or take their truth as your truth instead of you having your own. Feel how we are around people or people with authority. How easy to skip a beat and says, no. he knows or she knows what they're talking about. I'll sit back. Why? Just because they're authority? That doesn't make sense. Because you have your unique blueprint. You have your truth. Your voice needs to matter. But for your voice to matter, you actually have to know who you are. And you can only truly know who you are if you don't dive back there, not wallow it, not victimize yourself for whatever bad or whatever story that happened there. This is not about that. It's about owning, figuring out who you are, what your identity is truly. Because if you picked and you chose, it doesn't matter if it's somebody else. It matters that you chose it and you now know it's yours. And always remember that it can change. Like any research, like nature, like absolutely everything else on this planet, it's only proven right this second. In a minute, something might have changed and it's not proven anymore. And history tells us that on absolutely every single level. So for you to be authentic, and if that's your goal, then you need to figure out what happened in the story. Figure out what it is that you want to bring along, what you want to leave as somebody else's information, not yours, and really feel that you own it and it's your integrity, it's your identity. Then this will match this, and that is the essence. Because when I speak to somebody, I want that person to feel safe. But foremost, before that, I need to feel safe. I need to know myself. I need to show the world my authentic self. Otherwise, there is no value whatsoever. For me, it might be for you, but for me, it's not. And I choose to be with authentic people because there is so much life, there's so much room for creativity, for curiosity and imagination, because nobody who's authentic feels threatened in any way. So think about that one.